And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Black Eel Podcast. These are your hosts, Scott and Mike. And apparently, Mike wants to clarify something before we start into this video about something we learned about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
So last week when we were discussing Suicide Squad, we were talking about potential future drops and whatnot about how they're going to add characters down the road. Apparently, they are going to be adding playable characters. So the first playable character who will be a part of this Suicide Squad will be the Joker. Now, as we all know, the Joker died in the Arkham series, like we talked about in the last video. He died in Arkham City. This is not the same Joker. This is Elseworld Joker. And so he's from a different universe, and he got somehow magically transported into this universe. We'll see what happens. I saw a little bit of gameplay. Looks interesting. Definitely a different style Joker than we're used to, but that's fine. It's an Elseworld Joker, so it's a different version. He traverses everywhere with an umbrella that he skates on. So, I mean, again, willing to give it a shot. And the first season drops in March, so we have 1 month to play freestyle, and then sometime in March. I don't remember if they said the day that it drops, but season 1 begins in March.
And just as a clarification too, apparently you can go back to any of the season passes and complete it.
Yep. There's no FOMO.
There's no expiration date.
Yep, which is great.
Which is
Halo,
weird to me. It's weird to me, and I'm not saying it in a bad way because I'm going to quickly just bring this up in the sense of like, I'm wondering how that will work because there's got to be an end date at some point.
What do you mean?
I know, like, wouldn't you think that they would like be like, all right, you have a year to complete?
No. Games do that. Some games do it. Hey, Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite, their season passes. If you purchase the season pass, or maybe not even purchase, if you just start it, there's no end date. You can so that way there's no feel to rush. They understand that you have other games that come out. You might not want to take a break. They are not expecting you to make this game a life commitment.
Oh, that's cool. And then the other thing I wanted to say too was just the fact of like, oh, do we know who's voicing Joker?
I do not. It's not Mark Hamill. It's a different.
Okay, no. I really could care less who it was necessarily. It was more of like I should have just asked, was it him? That was stupid.
No, it's someone different.
Okay, cool. So I think because we talked about this, that like the idea of it having like an extra character, like new characters, is just going to make it not bad, but like interesting to see how that mechanic is going to work. But
yeah,
overall, it looks like it's going to still be a cool game, and I'm actually going to get it when it comes out. Whether I play it when I first get it is a different story, but I definitely am getting it. All right.
Also, so I also saw something because I know this was talked about last week as well. So you can choose between playing solo or with a group of people.
Oh, okay. And there are multiple levels of difficulty.
Yep. Once you beat the game, there is extra difficulty that gets drops.
But do you have to beat the game at a certain level for it to unlock the others, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not that big of a deal because I'm assuming most people are going to play that level anyway, because I would imagine. Like, I'm talking about the original, I'm talking about the basis one. But anyway, all right, so in today's episode, we're going to move on from our flashback to what is actually happening in this episode. So we're going to be talking briefly about the date that Invincible Part 2 is going to be coming out. Season 2, Part 2, sorry. And then we will be moving on to talking about the Bad Batch trailer, the final season trailer. And then we will move on to talk about Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo, the comic book series that had 7 issues. And then we will end, as we always do, with a character spotlight from me this time. So we're going to be much, looking forward to that piece. So for now, let's move on to the Invincible. So Invincible for me, I'm not. So and we talked about this when we first found out because you were like dead set. No, there's no way it's going to come out this late. And I was like, well, there's a chance. Like I was thinking February, March. When hear me out, like when I said I think it's going to go like February or March, like late February, early March, and you were like, no way, and then where are we?
So okay, so I want to. I you had said it was going to go into March, and
Oh,
I
true,
agreed with that. I didn't. I
true.
did not
Sorry.
expect. I didn't think it was going to start in March.
Yeah, but I had also stated like originally like, oh, it's going to be in March, and you're like, no, no way. And I was
I
like, well,
didn't think it was going to be that late.
I did. I would have said like last week of February, the latest, personally, but I was still wrong. But
My
yeah, I'm a little disappointed in that.
no, I'm going to be honest. I'm very disappointed. I feel like a lot of the steam is going to go out on the season because of how late they're making us wait.
I'm literally going to have to watch the 4 episodes again before watching the new stuff.
Probably, yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, like
realistically, it's just because it's been so long.
yeah, I mean, it's I now looking back at it, it makes sense because when it's doing when they do these half season things, uh, they do split it up like half, like one half of the season, half the other season. They give it like a little bit of a break so that it gets the show longer, I guess. But it's like it's only 8 episodes. Like, what's the point?
I think that's my big piece on that one. Like, if this was a show that was like, even if it was 12 episodes, like total, I don't think I would have been as mad
It
because
would
it
have
would
been a
be
little
another
bit
six.
better.
It would have been another 6 episodes. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it's like, I think for me, I mean, story wise, it worked. Like that technically could have been the end of a season.
yeah, yeah,
So like, I do get it. Like story wise, it's not going to ruin it. But I think momentum wise, it kind of like took the wind out
yeah.
of the sails a little bit because it's like
Absolutely.
not only did we have to wait a while for season 2 to come out to begin with,
Now we
we
have to
now
wait a
had
while
to
just to
wait
finish it.
just to finish it, and that's a little bit of a disappointment for me.
That's why I was like, oh, because they're like, oh, we're taking a break for the holidays. I was like, okay,
Which I was
it's
fine with.
yeah. I'm like, okay, what you were saying makes sense because people are traveling, they're not going to have time to watch it. Give people time to regroup. Maybe not start in January because it's still a little hectic. February definitely, but going all the way into March, it's like
And
you
it's not even
lose.
the beginning of March, right? Isn't it like March 16th?
I think yeah, in the middle of March. I don't remember the
I don't
exact
remember
date,
the
but
exact date, but I do remember it being like it was double digits, and I was like, "What?"
yeah, no,
Um,
I was yeah, no, that
that
oh,
was a
like
little bit of a. I mean, that definitely was a disappointment for me. I mean, I'm still gonna watch it. That's not gonna change. But
yeah,
it was kind of just like, oh,
March 14th.
March 4th. Yeah, all right. So I was one day off. Um, no, didn't I say 15th or
You said
16th?
six. I think you said 16th.
It doesn't matter. I was
Yeah,
close. But the point
yeah,
I'm making is it was double digits, and I was disappointed.
yeah,
Um, and that was my big thing with that. It's like really, like if it as stupid as it sounds, if it was like the third or the fifth, I'd been like, I could have like mentally in my head been like, okay, that's not as bad as I'm thinking, but like the middle of March. So
yeah.
like, what would like I just don't understand the reason of not having anything in February. In my mind, I mean, I don't know what their plans are. I don't know if they're just because we talked about this in the sense of like with the strike and everything. Are they having trouble filling certain areas, so they're trying to space certain stuff out because they
Yeah,
know
I know
things
you
are going
said
to be a
that.
hit?
But yeah, no, I know you said that, but it's like at the same time, you have a show and it's doing well, people are hyped for it. You give that much of a break and you're gonna lose steam. Like that's how it is at the end of the day. Like if you,
I
it's one thing if it's like we're literally just saying the same thing. It's one thing if it was like a month, maybe month and a half break, but like going this far in advance where people are so hyped for it, and then just like it's just like people are gonna forget about it, and then you give it too much of a break, if people are going to move on. You never know what other shows are going to be coming out at that time as well. I mean, you we're going to be talking about it next. We have Bad Batch coming out a few weeks before it, so
yeah.
it's like
So I will agree with you on that one in that sense in general, but I was also going to say too, it's like I get it to a certain degree. Like, okay, you know this show is going to be a hit. Let's space it out because we don't have anything good coming out. We need people to stay subscribed. Blah blah blah. But that's not a good mentality, and I know you already mentioned that. But it's one of those things where yeah, people are still going to watch it, but it's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. So if
mhm,
that second season isn't like top tier, that
yeah,
second half of that season is not top tier, people are going to bash it like you would not believe
yeah,
because the longer you make us wait, the bigger we're expecting it to be.
Absolutely. You know, if this does not blow our minds away, it's going to be like, so you made us wait for nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is a real possibility. And I hope
Yeah.
that's not the case. But I have a
I don't think it
feeling
will.
like I have a feeling that our expectations are going to be too high for the second half, just because of the weight itself.
Yeah.
And we know how the first half ended, and that
Yeah.
was a high cliffhanger.
No,
So
it
like
was.
so like we're expecting, I mean, I'm not expecting like, I mean, I'm expecting right from the gate, like I want something to get me back into it. But like I'm expecting the end to be like, hey, like you better watch season 3 because like we don't know if he dead or not. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, they absolutely the first episode needs to hit because if it's not a mass like if it's not like mind blowing, people are going to be pissed that it's like okay, you're making us wait and you're not even giving us all the good stuff.
Like I want to see a minimum of 13 bodies being ripped open. Minimum. 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 And I don't think that's unreasonable.
All right, I'll be honest. I feel like you're spitballing a little bit low, but
I'm lowering my expectations so I can be
you
satisfied
know,
later.
what are your expectations? As
Um,
long as there's a fight scene, there's going to be a lot of dead bodies.
Absolutely, especially with Viltrumites. But yeah, no, I'm definitely. I mean, no matter what, I'm looking forward to it. I just don't want me to get too excited and then watch it and be like, I waited 3 months when I could have just watched it all at once.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm excited for it, but just the
It
fact that
worries
it
me.
brought it to March, just like I lost the wind. So
I mean,
it's like
like for me, absolutely. Like for me, it's like one of those things where it's like, I need this to be really good now, and when you need something to be really good, you're not gonna, even if it is really good, you're not gonna be like as excited because it's like it needed to be this.
yeah, yeah,
No matter how great it is, it's not gonna be as great as it should have been if it was attached to the other 4 episodes.
yeah. And it's just like weird that it's like like at that point you might as well have just honestly you should have just waited for and released the 4 episodes all together like instead of like
Mhm.
not even give it that break, just wait until after the holidays and drop everything all at once.
Yeah, kind of like mid January, be like, hey, here's the rest of the 4 episodes, or even like two
No,
and
no,
two.
I'm not even saying that. I'm like saying like before the holidays, don't release the first 4 episodes. Wait until after the
Oh,
holidays.
no, no, no. Now I understand what you're saying. Yes, no, agreed. Because you got our hopes up for. I mean, again, those 4 episodes were good. They were very good, but now it's like, okay, well, I know another four is coming.
Hmm.
Is it coming at some point before I die? Um,
And
and
it's
that's
just, like it's one of those things too, where it's just like it's in our head. It's like it's only 4 episodes.
yeah. I mean, again, it's 4 hours. I mean, realistically, it's 4 hours ish. And
Ish.
again, the episode length varies. I mean,
Hmm.
realistically, the first and last episode could be longer.
True.
But statistically, how it's been has been an hour, 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 hour. I mean, some episodes have been like, I think the shortest one was like 40 minutes.
I thought they were about 45 minutes. That's what I thought, but could
A
be wrong.
couple of them were pretty. I think this season, a couple of them were like an hour. I think
Really?
one
No,
was like an hour and a minute, like something
I
stupid
can
like that.
I can
Like
double check real quick.
51 minutes, if I remember correctly. But my point I'm making is, it's like, okay, so like mentally, I'm like, okay, another 4 hours of a show, good, that's good. But like at the same time, that's only 4 episodes. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it, and I'm hoping we're not disappointed.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Anything else
uh,
you'd like to add on this?
um,
Because I
no,
know you
not
always
really.
do.
No, no, no. It's
Okay.
just we're gonna once it comes out, we're gonna watch it, and hopefully it hits those expectations.
Yeah, I'm hoping
And
so. All right, so we are now going to move on to the comic book series called Batman and the Joker: The Deadly Duo. Now, Mike, I'm gonna tell everyone how you described this series to me to get me to read it.
yep, go ahead.
Mike says to me, Scott, this is as if Venom came into, I'm sorry, a symbiote came into the DC universe.
Yep,
Now, I understand where it came from. I felt less of that as an inspiration than literally Evil Dead.
I agree with you. So
I
when I was looking around, it like the titles that I was finding was saying, "Hey, this is the DC has finally brought a Venom like symbiote into the DC universe." So, and it's in this comic series. So I was like, "Oh, this is going to be cool." And I agree with you. It didn't feel like that. It felt a little bit like that. It was like literally like a combination of a symbiote mixed with zombies.
So I will say in
Um,
the very beginning, I got like mentally I was like, okay, that kind of I can kind of understand that that might be a symbiote type thing.
mhm.
Like when we first see the first creature,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so like I kind of understood, like okay, a little bit, but then as we got more and more understanding of what was going on, it
It
was
felt
less and
more.
less that. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah. So here it's that's the reason why I'm saying it's still a combination because it has the hive mind. It has the main
absolutely. No,
one.
absolutely. I
So
agree with you.
that's still a little bit of a tie-in with the symbiote, but definitely I'll give it that a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I got more Evil Dead vibes overall
Mm,
more than I got Venom
yeah.
symbiote vibes. Although I do understand, you're absolutely right. The hive mind and everything else, I get that piece. I'm not arguing that. I'm just stating, like for me, I got more Evil Dead out of it, and especially in the last two issues,
Yeah.
like almost
I
like
agree.
verbatim, like the newest movie almost of
I haven't
Evil
seen
Dead.
the newest movie, I'll be
Well,
honest.
it's just like the concept of like who was in charge.
Yeah, okay.
If you understand what I'm getting
Um
at. So, like quick,
look,
I was just gonna say quickly talking like an issue comes in into Gotham where Joker and Batman need each other.
they need a team up.
And the thing that kills me is it's not just Batman needing Joker, it's Joker also needing Batman, which I think
Mhm.
is a very key distinction here because both need each other, which makes it less likely they're going to try to um, deceive each other in the best way possible. That
Yep.
being said, that still happens, but not in the stereotypical way that we've seen in the past.
Yeah. It's
Also, before you say anything, artwork by the way, phenomenal.
it was very nice artwork. Yeah. No, it was a
Like there were a couple of things where I was kind of like, but like, I mean, like literally like one like square of the page. Overall, it was actually really well drawn and like
yeah.
colored.
Yeah, no, it was great artwork. The style definitely a little bit definitely like a different kind of style that I'm
Mhm,
used to seeing,
mhm.
but I thought it was great.
Agreed.
Um, but yeah, overall the story, the give a quick, just a very quick overlaps of how the story was going. Prom issue arises in Gotham. There is a mass murderer that's able to do these unrealistic feats and survive. And Batman comes in, tracks him down. Turns out reports are saying that it's a person with a white face. So everyone's like, "Oh, it's Joker! It's Joker!" Not Joker. It is a zombie-like Joker, and turns out Joker comes and looks for Batman because he's like, "Hey, someone's setting me up. This isn't me." Uh, they go and Joker was told that he needs to do certain things, otherwise, something bad will happen.
So here's my
Uh,
question before you continue. Correct me if I'm wrong. That person not only was killing, but was removing the heads and stealing them.
yes,
Okay. So sorry. I was like, one. I mean, you're absolutely right. They were killing, but I also was like, wait a minute. They were taking the severed heads of the victims.
at the beginning that wasn't as big of a issue. Like they were
True.
killing.
True.
They didn't
True.
realize that
True.
it was part of a greater problem. But yes, when they killed their victims, they took their head and was retreating somewhere. Um, Turns out there's multiple of these things, not just one. And like Scott had said, the Joker and Batman realize they both need each other. Joker needs him because he wants Batman to help him because he wants to figure out who's setting him up. And Batman needs Joker because Joker, and in order to get Batman to cooperate, ends up kidnapping Commissioner Gordon and holding him hostage to in order to motivate Batman.
And his motivation is to chop off pieces of the commissioner and send it to the GCPD.
Yep. Just to let him know that let him remind him that he's got him.
Although to be fair, he doesn't know that the Joker was the one that kidnapped him right away. Wasn't
he
that one
knew
of the twists?
well he no, he figured Joker had something to do with it, and Joker basically confirmed it. But Joker said he didn't know where he was. He hired someone to hide him, so that way, until he gave the okay, Batman couldn't find him.
Okay. No, I for some reason I was like, I felt so I that might have been something not so much that I missed, but I think I forgot in the sense of like, because I just know like there was a key piece where like Batman like truly figures out like Joker was behind a lot more than he was leading on.
That yeah, I mean, well, yes, he was behind a lot more in the sense of like towards the end of the comic,
Yeah.
Joker is more involved than Batman expected, but
I'm sorry, you finish the synopsis and then we'll go into more detail. I apologize.
but well, I mean, no, it's like one of those things where it's they're tracking down these killers. He's finding out that a doctor, I forget his first name, Doctor Sims, um, he was doing some experiments while he was in the military. He was trying to revive the dead. Um, Turns out it was for his own selfish gain because years ago, uh, there was a wedding between his daughter and her fiance,
Hmm.
and Joker ended up crashing the wedding by accident and basically killing a bunch of people, resulting in the death of his daughter. So the doctor, Amanda Sims, Doctor Sims, was trying to revive her, and it the result of these experimentations, once it was proven to be possibly successful, kind of left a scar on his
Donald
face.
Sims.
Donald.
Donald Sims.
Okay, thank you. Donald Sims has a like infection in his eye, and that Batman is basically trying to seize it as he's the root cause of these zombie like venom like creatures. Um, Turns out the twist is that it's not Doctor Sims. It is actually his daughter, who he successfully brought back to life, and his daughter is trying to seek revenge on everyone who ruined her life, including her father. Because
No, I
what?
was just gonna say. No, I was just gonna say like you're right, but more specifically her wedding,
Well, yeah, her wedding
because
resulted in her
there
death.
was that one scene. There was that one scene where we see all the corpses in wedding wear.
Well, her life was ruined at her wedding.
I
So
know. No, I know. That's why I hesitated saying anything, but like I wanted to be very specific because that scene sticks out.
yeah, oh yeah. So the scene he's talking about is when she's trying to recreate her wedding because in her mind, when she is spreading the infection of these zombie esque creatures, she is she wants to create a new Gotham in her image, and the way she sees it is everyone that she infects is her children. So she cuts off their head, brings them over, puts them on basically like a dead body, and she brings them back to life. Um, and this person, it also includes her father. She ends up decapitating her father and turns him into a zombie because she hates him for bringing her back to life because she felt the pain of being brought back to life, which is kind of creepy to think about. But and
I mean, it makes sense.
she,
It's not something you think about, but I would imagine it can't be
oh yeah,
painless.
and so the other thing too is that when she creates a new life, when she revitalizes the dead person, she gains all their memories. She gains their feeling, their pain, how they died. So everyone that she brings back to life, she's learning, which is why like the hive mind idea of Venom comes in because it's
Hmm.
they're all connected by into one being.
Hmm.
Um, but to that extent, that's it for the Venom relation. Um, so yeah, basically, Batman ends up figuring out a way to stop these zombie-like creatures by creating an antigen that decomposes the body. So just like a regular zombie, if the zombie does not feed, it decomposes and dies. So Batman creates a concoction that quickens the process, and he and so when they go to the church where the wedding was supposed to happen, They go they go in. That's where they find out that Joker was actually more part of it. He was more aware of what was going on than what he had originally told Batman. He knew why she was going after him. There was something that he wanted that she promised him if she brought Batman to her. And so he held up his end of the bargain. Once that happens, everything falls apart. Massive fight. Batman. So apparently, the church was built on top of a tunnel,
Yep.
and the tunnel leads to the Gotham River. And Batman, as a precaution, set up explosives if things go south. That way the tunnel will get flooded. Things go south, tunnel gets flooded. Batman and Joker and Gordon ends up getting saved.
And Harley.
Uh, they try to escape the
And
zombies
Harley.
and Harley. Sorry, and Harley. She's kind of in the back, just causing mayhem.
I got a line that we'll talk about of hers that I liked, but continue.
Does it involve the jewels?
No, no, it involves something else.
Okay.
Although that
So
was a good one.
I really enjoyed Harley in this, but she. So the as the river is getting taken away, Amanda Sims basically grabs onto Batman. We find this out later, not at the exact moment, but grabs onto Batman and whispers what it is that she had promised to Joker. Joker escapes, finds out the secret, and Batman basically goes into lockdown because the secret that he wanted was Batman's identity. So Joker goes into, so like I said, he goes into lockdown. Everyone who has any kind of relation to Bruce Wayne, he basically goes into lockdown, which is like a lot of people. Turns out, when the Joker found out that Amanda knew who Batman was, Joker didn't want to
The
know who
identity to
Batman
come out.
was. He didn't want the secret. He wanted to hide it. So he hired people to go find the secret. And then once they figured out the secret, he killed them so that way they couldn't tell him the secret. Which is a
No, absolutely.
massive
Which
Joker.
which is classic Joker because he doesn't want to ruin the game.
Yep. He knows that as soon as he finds out who Batman is,
It ruins everything.
ruins everything.
And I think that's one of the more incredible things of it. And um, I just find that part to be really good. No, so the line I was talking about was when they're I believe they're in the cathedral. Or no, they're it's towards the end because Joker all of a sudden goes, "Oh no, Gordon slipped and fell on a rock that Harley was holding," and Harley
Twice.
goes twice. And again, it was one of those things where her line itself meant nothing, but it showed the duo of Harley and Joker in this and how much they complete each other. Because Joker's joke on its own wasn't enough. It was the fact that Harley stepped in and said twice that made it
Yeah.
hilarious. And I think that was a big piece that showed their dynamic better. I think for me, I liked the reveal that it was Amanda the whole time.
Hmm.
I didn't have a problem with what she was doing, meaning like her powers or anything like that. None of that bothered me. I think for me, what bothered me the most was like the epilogue.
That she survives and becomes a vigilante, basically.
I would have had no problem with her surviving. I didn't like the fact that she was a vigilante.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
I didn't like
But
that.
at the same time, I understand because the epilogue gives an explanation. She's basically like, I like, so she said it like when she attacked Batman, she felt what he felt. She thought
Yeah.
that he was just doing it because for his own ego or whatever. But now when she attacked him, she understood why he was doing it. So
Mhm.
she's basically like, she's looking after Batman to make sure he doesn't stray from the path because as soon as she strays from the path, that's when she'll intervene.
Yeah,
She like she said, she still wants Gotham to be in her image, but as long as he
is there.
is there doing what
He's
he
supposed
says
to be
he's
doing.
doing, yeah, she's okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of she was such a good villain that it
Yeah.
was a waste of a good villain.
Yeah.
And again, I'm
It's
not saying. I mean, we know that there's a chance that she might not ever have a story ever again. But like to me, she is more villain. And this is
yeah.
not a dig at her at all. Like oh, like she could only like that character is perfect as a villain, and
Hmm.
like being a recurring villain.
Yeah, I agree.
Like she's the new and I'm gonna get some flack for this, but like the Raja Ghul, like
Hmm.
in the sense of like this big bad who literally has an army, granted army of dead, um,
Yeah,
to change Gotham or the world in her image.
yeah. No, I agree. It's one of it goes to the thing where, like I said, I understand them like making her a
I
vigilante
do get
doesn't
it.
necessarily
I'm not
mean I
oblivious
like
to it.
it. But so it's like one of those things where it's like I think I don't remember if I mentioned it in the podcast to you, but it's going towards like a newer thing with villains is like everyone needs a redemption story, so they're turning all great villains into because everyone likes them so much, they're turning them into vigilantes and anti-heroes. So it's like just keep some villains as villains. Not everyone needs to be an anti-hero.
I mean, here's my thing. Okay, I have no problem with a villain being an anti-hero for a period of time, like in certain moments, like because we've seen Poison Ivy, Bane work together to save Gotham before. So
Yeah,
like in certain instances, there's nothing against it. My issue is the fact that you're now not giving this character a good stint as a villain that we're automatically going to vigilante.
yeah, that's also true. Yeah,
And like I mean, she's a scary villain.
yeah.
I
She has a
mean,
lot
like
of untapped
legitimately, like
potential.
she has the potential of being a very bad villain, or I shouldn't say bad villain, like a good villain, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you get my point I'm making, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, ugh. And you know, what I just realized we went out of order. I forgot we skipped Bad Batch, but we'll get back to.
I realized that, and I was like, okay, it's fine.
Honestly, I realized it just like 2 minutes ago. But anyway, let's continue talking about this because I did. I think there was a couple of things I was slightly disappointed in.
Hmm.
The disappointment was the very end in the sense of her being a vigilante. That was my thing. I loved the reveal that Joker wanted to work with her only to make sure that Batman's identity didn't get exposed. I
Yep,
did like that because that's classic Joker.
100%.
Harley Quinn and Joker were a good combo together in this one because sometimes it's lackluster. This one was pretty good. I'm not saying it. It was definitely one of the better ones. I cannot remember all the renditions of them where I can say like, oh, it's top tier or anything like that. But it definitely was good.
Yeah,
At the very least, we also had one thing that bothered me a little bit was we didn't get a more of Batgirl and Nightwing. So like we had Nightwing and Catwoman, which was a fun little combination of the two.
yeah.
I
Talk
mean,
about
you
his
know,
feet.
Gotham's ass right there. Um, but like for me, like I understand not having Catwoman in again, but not having Nightwing again, especially for the end, was kind of like a. I do get it. It's the Batman and Joker show, blah blah blah. But like we had Harley Quinn there, and I understand, but it's like it wouldn't have. I don't think it would have hurt it necessarily if Nightwing was there.
So I think it's going. I think the thing that you're not seeing with Nightwing is that once Robin makes the transition to Nightwing, Batman, unless the
He needs to.
situation really requires an extra person, Batman tends to like to leave Nightwing behind in case something goes south that Batman doesn't return. Nightwing is there to then take the mantle of Batman to protect Gotham.
Fair enough. But you understand, like that does make sense, and unfortunately, I do understand it. But
It's like that. It's like,
yes, you're right.
damn.
Here's the thing: you're absolutely correct. But my whole thing is like,
But I didn't want it.
well, to a certain degree, yes. My whole thing is just more the fact of like, you give us a taste, and then it's like, ooh, 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 bye.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where they included Batgirl obviously because of Gordon.
No, and
Um,
like I mean, again, I think I'm more disappointed in the fact that we didn't get more Nightwing than I was Batgirl personally.
yeah, I mean,
And that's nothing against Barbara. It wouldn't have made sense for Barbara to be working with Batman, especially because he was working with.
that wouldn't go
Um,
well.
no, absolutely. So like that one made sense to me. But
Hmm.
Nightwing, I don't know. I get it. Like you're absolutely right. If things go south, I mean, he is working with his greatest arch enemy of all time. At any moment, he could get shot in the head.
Hmm.
Um, so I do get that piece, and you're absolutely correct. But I think because it was such a limited series, it was only 7 issues,
Yep.
and this was a brand new world technically.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say it was like a brand new universe necessarily, but it technically doesn't have a tie to anything else
At the moment, from what we've
at the
seen,
moment.
yes.
Absolutely, at the
Um,
moment. So my point I'm making is, it's like it wouldn't have hurt to have a little bit more Nightwing.
no, I mean, I do understand it. I'm curious if there's anything that follows up on this.
Well,
Um,
as of right now, no, but that doesn't mean anything because it just ended. What, like August?
yeah, yeah, because it started at the beginning of last year, so
Yeah,
7 issues would bring it to about August ish. Yeah,
ish. Yeah.
so um,
But my point I'm making is, it's like there is the chance. I mean, because how, and this is not a dig at the comic book industry at all, but like it's only been what, 4 months, 5 months since it's been over ish.
yeah, oh, yeah,
That,
I'll say five
that
months. Yeah,
that is not a significant amount of time in the comic book industry. You know
no,
what I
it's
mean?
not.
Like,
Yeah.
so like realistically, we could have a sequel, or we could have something added on, or something part of that universe, so we could get more of it, or find out that it was tied into a specific universe in general. Absolutely. Right now, it's its own thing, and
Yeah.
I did like it. It was definitely a good story overall. It was definitely different than what is normal in Batman.
Hmm.
Now, when I say different, like we still had the stereotypical detective skills. We had fighting. We had we had Joker. We had a little bit of espionage with Nightwing and Catwoman. We had Gordon getting cut up. Like this had everything,
Yeah.
um, and it had everything that makes a good Batman story.
Hmm. It definitely had that darker tone. I know we
Yeah.
read the beginning of last year that lighter tone Batman
Yes.
comic. I forget what it's
I forget the
called,
name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
um, but it
Like
it definitely
Knighthood or
goes
Night
back.
Watch.
Yes, Night Watch. Yes, um, it definitely had that darker tone again. But yeah, no, I really I did enjoy it. It well, I had a train of thought, and it only focused on one villain. It had focused on Joker, which didn't include
Well,
did it two villains.
technically two, but like in our minds until the very end, it was only focused on really one.
Yeah, and I really liked how they focused on two things. One, Batman fighting the urge to end Joker the entire time,
Hmm.
and two, at the very end, I really enjoyed Batman coming to terms with the fact that he doesn't have to only be Batman. He can be Batman and Bruce Wayne and use them both to help Gotham together. I don't really see, aside from from in most iterations that I know of Batman, it's always Batman is like Bruce Wayne is just Bruce Wayne. Like I don't really care about him. I'm only him when I need to be. And I really liked in this issue that they finally said like, no, Bruce Wayne is helpful as well. Like with the little kid giving him the note, it just like saying like, I can use the human side of Bruce Wayne to make Batman even better. Like
Yeah.
you don't see many iterations of Batman that has that persona.
No, a lot of times when we see that kind of thing, excuse me, it's been in like the animated one, but it wasn't even Bruce Wayne. It was still Batman as Batman, but like
Hmm.
showing his more human side.
Yeah,
So you're absolutely right. Like we rarely see it. It's more of like I need to be Batman because Bruce Wayne is useless.
yeah,
Really,
yeah,
I mean that's really what it comes down to. Now, obviously, in like the animated ones, they're not going to have him just be Bruce Wayne, because
yeah.
like It just doesn't look great on camera, I guess, or on the screen. So
doesn't
like,
doesn't
but
doesn't
there's a
hit
lot of
fit the topic.
instances, especially in like the animated stuff, where it's like even though he's dressed as Batman, he's being more Bruce Wayne than he is Batman.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I do agree with you that this definitely did that, and I really did enjoy that. But overall, like I said, it was pretty good. I was definitely impressed. I will say though, and we've already talked about it, not really Venomized.
yeah.
I took it more as Evil Dead, especially, and the Hive Mind kind of works too a little bit in the sense of like she's in control of all the dead. So like, granted, yeah, she can absorb all their memories and stuff like that. But I mean, that's more of what I took it as after. And she also's got that look too.
Mm. So also why everyone so the zombie creatures had Joker DNA in them, which is why they were looking
Yes,
like the Joker.
yes.
So just imagine an army of undead
But
Jokers,
super powered undead Jokers because
super powered. Yep,
they weren't like regular strength. Granted, the argument could be they didn't have like a filter in their head where they could just use the full strength of a human. But either way, they were stronger than normal, and that's scary.
definitely stronger. And if their limbs got cut off, it didn't really matter. They could just reattach
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. And the tooth thing messed with me too.
Yeah, because it spread through infection because the tooth could become a living organism.
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely. I'm like, ugh. But no, overall, I did, like I said, I did enjoy it. Um, I actually wouldn't hate seeing that as a movie, like even an animated one.
yeah, no, that would be cool.
I think it might be too early to do because it's still fresh. You might want to
Yeah,
wait a
no,
bit. But I mean,
yeah,
overall, like that would be a good one. Like I would actually enjoy that. Granted, it might ruin it a little bit because I already know the plot twist.
yeah, that's true. I
But
think
that being said, that doesn't mean they can't still find a way to make it interesting.
they just need to find a way to condense it to like a 2 hour movie without losing a lot of it because I mean there was a lot that happened in this
Yeah,
and
but I think we could have like the undead Joker, like being like Batman and the undead Jokers, or Batman and the army of Jokers, and like everyone sees that and they're like, oh, and then it come to find out it's actually Amanda. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, but it would. I think that would be a perfect like rated M for mature one.
Oh yeah,
Like that
absolutely.
it would give me like like Justice League Dark vibes.
No, I agree.
Um, especially because we have the Joker. But overall,
Um,
very good. All right, so we're gonna move
I
on. Oh, sorry.
well, wait. I want to also point out that one very important thing happened in this. Joker and Harley officially got hitched.
Yeah.
In this iteration, Harley is very much more in control than in a lot of other iterations.
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely.
I know that I had said it before. I know that one of the things that I always found funny was Harley was always threatening Joker with his jewels, but it's like he had to give her a rock or he'd lose his jewels for making deals with another woman without her permission.
Which I think is probably hilarious, more than anything else. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They finally got hitched.
They
All right.
finally got hitched,
So we are now moving on to what we were supposed to talk about earlier, but I messed up. We're going to talk about the Bad Batch.
which is
So,
honestly fine. I think this is the biggest thing that we have to talk about this week.
so
So
correct me if I'm wrong. It's coming out February 21st with 3 episodes.
yes, 3 episode premiere
3 episodes
February
for
twenty
sure.
first.
I don't know if I have the exact date right.
I can tell you in a minute because I sent it to you. But go ahead.
So for me, I'll say this. Overall, I thought the trailer was incredible.
Twenty
That being
first.
it is the 21st. So I'm
Yep.
going to say this, all right? The first 2.5 minutes of the trailer, because I think it was a 3 minute trailer, wasn't it?
No,
Anyway, it
it's
doesn't
about
matter. It was pretty close to 3 minutes if it wasn't 3 minutes. So let's say for the first 2 minutes of the trailer,
2 minutes and 3 seconds.
all right, so for the first minute and a half of the trailer, this was exactly what I was expecting in the trailer. Meaning like big action scenes, talking about how they were gonna come together. This is the end. We're gonna save. We're sick and tired of watching our brothers die. Like all of that, I was expecting in the trailer. It
Hmm.
was the very end of the trailer where I was like, "What?" And we'll go into more of that. So let's. So, what are your thoughts? Because I already just told mine very quickly.
Oh, I was hyped. I'm seeing this, getting my blood pumping. Like, oh my god, this is it, this is it. And
So
then
I'm cutting you off for just 1 second. So when I say it was what I was expecting, that doesn't mean I didn't still love the beginning of the trailer. What I'm
mhm.
getting at is that's exactly what I was expecting from the trailer, and that's what I wanted from the trailer. Now continue. Sorry.
Yes, yes, no, no, no. I knew what you meant. So like yeah, no, I agree. I'm getting the blood point bumping. It's like the story's ending. What's going to happen? Palpatine is getting more involved in this season, which
Hmm.
is going to be crazy. Tells you what a big deal this is. Then, like you said at the end, the ending dropping in, and I'm like, oh, why is she getting involved? And there's a lot of controversy with that, but we'll talk about that a little bit. Which, by the way, I have another book for you to read. Um, so
Let's keep talking.
you can tell Scott doesn't like to read. um,
I mean, if it's a
but
good story, I don't care. But it's sometimes it can drag on.
I want you to know that I have not had you read a book that you have not enjoyed.
No, the most difficult one was the first Thrawn book,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
wasn't bad. It was way too much. It was too much.
yeah. It was tough for you to handle it, which is fine. Um,
But the rest of it was good, like
but
really good.
but yeah, they talk about they go into like, oh, what's going to happen? This is they're talking about this is the end. They thought the end of the war meant that no more death was going to happen. Wasn't the case.
But also
We
too, like it gave us a lot, but also nothing
Yeah, I mean they gave us enough to give like we knew what's happening. They're
to a
going to be
certain degree.
trying to
Yes, yeah, yeah,
they're going to be
absolutely.
looking for these clones. It seems like a significant amount of time has passed because
Yeah,
you
they made that note very clear in one of the scenes where Hunter's like, "It's been a while since we've seen our sister, or we've seen her."
yep, and you see an image of Omega, and she's clearly grown up.
Yeah.
Um, and we see Cody, so I think somehow he's involved. We see a flashback of Tech falling, so I think we're
Yep.
going to be seeing something involving him.
Hmm.
We see Omega notice
Crosshairs
crosshairs. Thank you.
in prison
Uh,
with her.
what
In prison with her.
in prison with her? He is a captive. So she realizes obviously something's going on. We see a new soldier who is in uh,
Black.
complete black. So that's
Very
interesting.
similar. So I will say this: very similar to what Crosshairs wore. Like almost looking like he's taking
Yeah,
over Crosshair.
yeah. It's one of I think that's one of the those specialty hunters that
Yeah.
was following them before. So we'll see who that is going to be. Uh, but there's so much that happens in this trailer. We have Wrecker, who is causing the usual mayhem.
Yep.
Uh, so a lot of rumors going around in this trailer, which is somebody has to be dying, and people are thinking that because the trailer and poster seems to be heavily focused on Hunter, people are assuming that Hunter is going to be dying.
Which, all joking aside, makes a lot of sense, just because he would have to make the absolute sacrifice to save Omega.
Yes.
That
Um,
would it's. I hope that's not the case, but that being said, it makes the most amount of sense.
it would make sense if it happens. It would make sense.
Absolutely,
Uh,
and it's because nothing against Wrecker, it wouldn't mean as much coming from Wrecker as it would from Hunter,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
that's
they
not a
they
dig.
all
And that's not a dig at Wrecker. It's just that Hunter's more of the father figure for Omega.
yeah.
Wrecker's kind of
Yeah,
like the older brother.
exactly. No, they all care about her, but Hunter took her really tried to take her under her wing and protect her.
Absolutely,
Um,
100%. I agree with you on that one. Um, yeah, I mean, like I agree with you. It was definitely heavily focused on him. I mean, it looks like we're going to get like a clone army. Like they're looking for clones.
oh yeah,
So my
Rex.
guess here's my prediction.
Yep.
The Empire is now permanently removing clones from existence.
Yep. We knew that.
But I mean, like, to the extent now of hunting them down, where I don't think they really gave a heck about them anymore. So anybody that was in their military has now been not been excuse me, not been retired, imprisoned,
Yes.
and they then now are hunting them down because they're realizing that the clones are causing more problems than good for them, and they need them removed from existence.
Yeah, because they're seeing them more as a liability now. So they're.
Absolutely. So now they're going in and removing everybody. I mean, I'm interested. So far, so good. We also see the female scientist who is also a clone again as
Yep.
well, briefly. I don't know if that's a flashback or if that's supposed to be for that season itself. It wasn't really clear based on what
I
we
mean, the
saw of
way
her.
the way the last season ended, I think that's going. It's not a flashback. It's going to be her moving forward.
But what I'm talking about is the scene that they showed looked more like a flashback because it looked exactly like what we saw.
Oh,
If you
well,
understand what I'm getting at, it looked almost identical to what we've already seen of her. Now that being said, that doesn't mean that she's not going to be heavily influenced or anything like that. I don't know that. I'm just stating like that particular scene might have been a flashback to be like, hey, remember this person? You might see
yeah,
them again, but different. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
well, yeah,
I'm interested to see where they're going. Palpatine being a heavy influence in this. I mean, I'm assuming this is supposed to lead into almost. No, I don't think directly, but like it's got to get close to like we got to be at Andor time at this point, or pretty close to it. Andor, not Rogue One. There's a difference.
Oh no, no, I know. It's tough because we don't really know the timelines of timelines of when
But
things are going on. If I
but the
remember
reason why I
correctly.
say that is just because Palpatine's becoming a bigger threat now, right? And Palpatine's now the head person, I guess you would
Yep.
say. And
Yep.
again, he was the head person to begin with, but I think he's showing his face a lot more, and not his good side. Um, and I think I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested to see how he's going to play a role in that. And I mean, I'm curious if we're going to finally hear what he wanted the clones for,
Yeah. Well,
because this might be the first time we hear from Palpatine's mouth what the clones were originally meant for.
we're obviously building up to that. Um,
Yes, and we've
so
been building up for it for what's felt like this has been something that's been building since. I mean, obviously since the sequel trilogies, but I mean like building up like the lore of that
mhm,
missing timeline has been
yeah,
happening since 2020 when we
yeah,
had the Mandalorian season 1.
hmm no,
It's been
it's
that slow build to that.
absolutely. Um, we'll see. It might come in this season, might come in another spin-off because there's definitely no way that this is going to be the last thing that the
Well, no,
last
it's it's
thing.
the end of the Bad Batch. I don't think it's the end of like this part of the story, for
Yeah,
sure.
no, no, no. I know.
And we talked about that when it ended last year, in the sense of like the idea was that we might get a Rex show,
Yep.
or like something in the same time frame but different focus.
Yes. So, but like, what my point is like it's whether we get that hint of like what the clones are for in this or in the next series that they go into.
Absolutely. I'm just saying we're closer than we've ever actually been at this point,
You
and
are
like
correct.
I'm getting serious blue balls here because it's like I just want to like even if it's just like in this to be like I need the clones for my own personal, you know what I'm saying? Like even if we don't get the full details, I just need something to be like I want the clones for me, and like I'll be fine. Like something dark side clones me, something dark side. Like that's what I want. What I want the line to say, and that's it. I don't think that's that hard. But no, the season before this was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I
Yep.
think this one, based on how I'm feeling about it, might even be better. And we still haven't even touched on like the actual like big twist of the trailer.
Yep. I was
Now,
literally about to start that.
so I don't remember her name.
Asajj Ventress.
Ventress, thank you. Apprentice Ventress. Um, so
She is revealed at the end of the trailer. She.
well, so before you, so ready. I'm gonna paint you a picture here.
Okay.
So here's me watching it. I see her. She looks familiar, and there's something weird with her head. Like it doesn't matter. Like I don't remember. Like she looks. I literally said she looks related to like the Count Dooku's apprentice. I literally said that in my head, and then I heard the voice, and I went, "It's her. It's her." And I felt stupid because she just looked different enough. Now, first off, a lot of time has passed. I understand that piece. I get that. That being said, mentally, I'm like, oh, that is somebody from her planet, her home planet, not registering that that was her.
Yep.
Now, obviously, when she spoke, granted, it wasn't a lot. I heard the actor's voice, and I was like, oh, no, that's her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sporting something I was a little surprised to see, which is a
Her.
her new lightsaber,
Mm-hmm.
which is the color orange.
I thought it was yellow, but either way.
It's tough to tell the difference between orange and yellow sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It's close
Especially,
enough.
it's pretty similar.
Yep. Um, so this is a big deal. We have not seen her in quite some time since Dooku betrayed her in the Clone Wars.
Didn't we see her in like one episode of the either the final season or season 6 of Clone Wars where she was helping Ahsoka? We briefly saw
Mm,
her for like one episode
I
after
don't think so.
after
No.
after Count Dooku had been like rejected her. She was like a bounty hunter for a bit.
Yeah, because she wanted her revenge on Dooku, so she was. But
Yeah,
that
but
that
then
was
we saw her again. I thought, and she worked with Ahsoka.
that I don't remember. I do
I
not remember.
I'm almost, and it was like it literally was one episode. Like she, because it was when Ahsoka was removed from the council. She was no longer part of the Jedi Order.
You talking about when she went like under Coruscant?
I want to say yes.
Well, that when that was the case, she was with those two sisters.
Yeah,
It
but didn't
wasn't.
she also work with? She worked with. I can't remember now. It's going to bother me. But I remember verbatim a scene where Ahsoka and her worked together after both of their masters, and I'm putting that in quotes because really it wasn't Anakin, but her masters kind of betrayed them. Now, I know the Dooku thing was a while ago before that, but it was just nice to see the two of them working together. It was for one episode, I swear.
Okay, so just to be clear, born a Night Sister, Asajj was taken by a gangster as a baby, then trained by
She
a
was a
Jedi.
Night Sister?
Yeah.
Oh no, I did know that. I did know that. That I was way too surprised than I should have been. I'm sorry.
There's literally a whole story about it.
That literally was the entire plot of her existence. That's how we got introduced to the Night Sisters. We're
and
gonna cut.
it's and
I'm gonna edit that
subsequent,
out.
and subsequently, I'm proud of you. Subsequently, became Count Dooku's apprentice. Visage was definitely a fan favorite, though she was completely absent from both season 6 and 7.
Also, season 5 she was in.
Yep, which is
So
when she was betrayed.
season, yeah, but there was but she was betrayed early in that season because there was a gap in time we didn't see her, and then
No,
she
no, no, yeah,
popped
yeah,
up.
yeah. And
All
then
right,
she
all
was
right, so
coming
we
back to
agree.
try to get.
So we're arguing, but we're agreeing. I like it.
It's typical.
Actually, it is. It 100% is. So
Anyway,
here's my question: Red is Sith, blue and green are Jedi, white is white is
white is like pure good.
purple is good with but not afraid to use evil, or more order, I guess you would say.
Yeah, order.
Orange slash yellow is what? We've
Well,
seen it a lot.
yellow was particularly for protectors. It was for the aside from Ray, it was specifically yellow lightsabers were specifically for the Jedi Knight Temple guards.
I thought that was orange.
No, those were yellow.
Okay, so those were yellow, but orange is another color
Or
we. Because I thought
orange
her color was orange, to be honest with you.
orange was the color we saw with
Visions.
Visions, yes, but also Balin from Ahsoka. His lightsaber was orange. The big bad, the guy who
Oh, it wasn't red?
no, that was orange.
I gotta rewatch that, man. I remember it being red.
Yeah, no, that was orange. Um, everyone thought it was orange, it was red at first, but no, no, it was confirmed to be orange.
But it was like a blood orange.
Either way, still
I
orange.
know, no, I know, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there was red in there. There was red in there. So I think it's just the transition of her no longer being a full fledged Sith anymore, and she's kind of like not so much like walking the balance necessarily, but she's not as cynical as she was before.
so this is
Based on that, just based on the lightsaber change.
so this will be a good way to segue into what I want. What I doesn't have to be soon, but before we watch the final season, you're going to have to read a novel called The Dark Disciples. It dives into what Asajj Ventress has been doing after she got betrayed by Dooku.
Add it to my list.
It will be your list. You have to watch it within the next month. So
Oh, really? I have to watch a book. Okay, I'll watch it.
I hate you.
I don't hate you
Anyways,
because that was perfect.
it was. Anyways, it dives into what she's been doing. She becomes a bounty hunter.
Okay, I mean that makes sense.
Yes. So it the one of the things that becomes an issue with a lot of people is people are worried that this is retconning the books. It is not. At the end of the novel, it kind of dives into her fate a little bit, and depending on the timeline, people are worried that this might like change her story, and people loved her story, so they don't want to affect that.
Okay,
Um, it has been confirmed that this is taking place before the events of the novel, so it is fine. But either way, just so it's a lot of cool. It's a lot of things that I want you to read. I don't want to
no,
spoil
and
too
that's
much.
no, no, and that's fine. I mean, one of the big things is, I mean, we're very excited about this. We were excited for this and knew it was the final season anyway.
Mhm.
So like we were excited for this. Although I will say, I'm surprised it's coming out in February.
Yeah, it came out sooner than I expected.
Only because this was the first trailer we got.
Yeah,
I was,
no,
and this is not a dig. It's just one of those things where normally we get like kind of like a build up of a couple of months before it comes out, and this is literally like less than a month away, and we're already gonna get it. So I'm
no,
definitely
I like that. I like that fact
no,
because I don't like
I agree.
like like the build up of like, oh, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. I like the fact that we got the trailer and it's literally around the corner.
Well,
Like,
this was very similar to like What If in the sense of like we didn't know when it was coming out, and then all of a sudden like Happy Holidays, and I was like, oh. And like I don't hate that. Like it's giving us a lot less time to like wait and anticipate.
mhm.
And I'm gonna guess when we might get one more trailer before it comes out, maybe,
Yeah, maybe, but
um,
I don't think it's
or
gonna be. If
or
anything,
an
it's gonna be.
extended trailer. Like it's gonna be that and then a little bit
Yeah.
more. I don't think we're gonna get like we're not gonna get into too much more, but I think we're gonna get something else, and it's gonna add just another layer of like. And I'm using this as an example that does not mean I'm right, but like all of a sudden we're gonna see like Darth Vader, or we're gonna see somebody who's like, "Oh, is that who I think it is?" And then it's like we don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
no,
where I think it's. That's what I think we're gonna get right before it starts, and then after that, or I think they've done this before too. They've done like a trailer or like what's gonna happen next type of thing, and they show like what might happen in the. Because last time what happened, if I remember correctly, the trailer was just for the first episodes that they were going to air, and then they
yeah,
gave
most of the
kind of
trailer was literally in episode one.
absolutely, and then but my whole point of making is then they had like a trailer after to be like the rest like get ready to watch the rest of the Bad
I
Batch.
don't remember that, but
Yeah, it was kind of like it was more of like kind of like oh what's if I remember correctly it was like it was the trailer. It was like kind of like a what's next thing because I think there was a break like a week break I think. I'm trying to remember. There was something because I remember them once it aired, a new trailer came out or like a new thing came out about it, and now I can't remember. But anyway,
are you sure it's not like the just the, like at the end of the episode where it's like, oh, next week this is what you expect?
to be honest with you, it very well could have been, but it was like an extended trailer in itself. Like it was one of those
Oh, okay.
like it was like it very well could have been, and that's where I saw it. But it was like it felt more like a trailer than like an after credit scene.
I mean, technically that is technically a trailer, but
Yeah, but I mean sometimes it's like one scene. This was like multiple scenes.
yeah, no,
Like it was
I
like
don't remember.
snippets, flashes of stuff. But anyway, looking forward to it. I mean, that's coming up next month, so we're gonna have a pretty busy February, or at least the end of February,
Yep,
because it's
it's gonna.
Madam, it's Madam Web. Then it's gonna be Bad Batch
Yeah,
and Bad
yeah,
Batch,
no,
and I'm guessing Bad Batch right up until April, maybe May.
yeah, yeah, no, because if it's about 10
16,
episodes, yeah, 10 episodes, then it'll lead up
16,
to, huh?
wasn't it 16?
Was it 16?
Yeah, last year was 16.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Well,
definitely is
really,
gonna lead.
realistically, it's 13 because 3 episodes are coming out at once. But you get my point I'm making, or 14. But yeah, overall, I'm very much excited for it. So, are we ready to move on to my character spotlight?
We are ready to move on.
Okay, so the character I've picked, and I'm doing this as a dig at Mike because he decided to say that I picked this comic series because it's Venom esque. Well, this is Venom esque character, Mike, and I,
Okay,
I hope you feel that when I tell you this story.
go
So,
right ahead.
so do you know the character Sentry from Marvel?
I do.
Well, we're going to talk about his beginnings.
Okay.
Okay, and I want you to think in the back of your head, how is that symbiote related? Well, I want you to sit there and fester because you'll find.
As soon as you said Sentry, and I'm thinking, how is this related to Venom? So I'm looking forward to it. Please continue.
Okay, so what we have here is Sentry. So for those of you who don't know, he is basically one of many attempts of Marvel trying to create a Superman version in the Marvel universe. Now, Mike, do you happen to know? So the character's real name is Robert Reynolds. Do you happen to know how he got his powers, Michael?
I do not.
Well, you're going to be disappointed because he wanted to get high and took a chemical and became Sentry. And I really wish I was exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating as much as you want it to be. So here's the thing: there was in 1947 there was a project called Project Sentry. It kicked off at West Virginia installation, known only as the faculty, which joined the United States / Canadian government. It had employees from former that were former Nazi scientists and also people from the Weapon X program as well. The program was in an effort to not only recreate the USA super soldier serum, but nearly a decade before, but also magnify its effects on the ideal test subject by several thousand folds. That was their main point. They wanted to basically create a serum that was going to be like the super soldier serum, but like on steroids, which is hilarious because the super soldier serum is a steroid. Um, So, decades following the project's beginnings, Robert Reynolds was a high school freshman suffering from schizophrenia and anxiety disorder. So, he steals experimental version of the super soldier serum from one of his science professors because they were part of the project and they were working on it in their facility. Unaware of its nature and hoping for no more than a very good high, he drinks the serum and immediately obtains remarkable solar powered superhuman abilities. Now, due to his psychiatric problems, Reynolds manifests an intensely malevolent persona, which is later called the Void. So he literally is two beings in one. So when he is happy and good spirited and in a good headspace, he's Sentry. When he's in that negative headspace, he turns into the villain, the Void.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. And in fact, it's so prominent he can actually split the two into two bodies, and they've actually fought each other.
damn.
Yeah. So he's literally Sentry slash Void. So
Okay.
Sentry is not just Sentry; he's also the Void. So anyway, he's done some vigilante stuff, trying to be a superhero. At this point, he's not at the level that you know him as. He's not like like he's super powered, but he's not like Sentry level like you would know him from the comics, Mike. This
Mm.
is like he think of him more like, and I'm gonna get slack for saying this, but like more like Luke Cage at this point, like that level strength. Like he hasn't really learned his powers yet, so he's like really low level right now.
Okay.
He then gets he then kind of gets tricked back into the project because his professor, finding out what happened, basically lies to him and says, "Hey, if you want to keep these powers, we got to keep injecting you with the serum to keep your powers going." Come to find out, there's no serum being injected to him. It's literally a saline solution, so it is nothing but water.
Huh.
It gets to the point where, because of Centuries, because of Robert Reynolds' psychiatric issues, he becomes addicted to it and actually loses control of himself until he gets his injections.
So
And
the injections were literally not doing anything to him.
it was all psychosomatic. So what that means is he mentally believed he needed it so much that unless he got it, even
Yeah,
though it literally was nothing, he would actually lose control. And so needed fake, like literally fake injections of nothing to control his powers because mentally he believed that's what he needed.
that's messed up.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So my point I'm making is like this was like a real thing, right? Like this was a bad issue. So one of the big things too is, so as I've talked about like Sentry and Void being kind of the same character, Sentry is looked at as a superhero and Void as a villain.
Hmm.
The world, and I say world, in the public eye, those are two very different people.
Hmm.
They're not the same person. So like Sentry is the greatest hero that everyone has ever seen. Oh my gosh. And the Void is the ultimate evil. And FYI, the Void has all the same powers as Sentry. The difference is his are more dark powers than light powers like Sentry. But it's
I
like
kind of put two and two together with
I
that.
figured as much, but like I just wanted to make that clear. So like realistically, like it's weird.
Hmm.
Um. So anyway, he then later on learns that the more solar energy he absorbs, or solar radiation he absorbs, the more powerful he becomes. Is really what it comes down to.
Hmm.
And as I stated, like the Void possesses many of the same powers, in addition to assuming different shapes. So the Void is more of a shapeshifter and invades the minds of others using his tendrils of darkness. So those are the only two differences in their powers.
Okay.
Um, and I guess you would say like Sentry's like when Sentry powers up, it looks more like solar energy, and when Void does it, it's more like dark energy. But like realistically, if you like compare the two, they're pretty much the same like idea. It's just different colors.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you think of like when Superman's like getting ready to like power up, his eyes turn red.
Hmm.
In this way, think of like Sentry's eyes turning like almost like a fiery color, not necessarily red, but like an orangey, like sun color.
Yep.
And then like it looks like he's like actually, you know what? Think of it like Captain Marvel almost. So like that kind of like aura type thing a little
Hmm.
bit, not to the same degree, but like that same thought. And then you put a different color to it, and that's Void. Now, granted, they look very different, by the way, visually. So like nobody thought they were the same people.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
makes
his,
sense.
he's literally he's literally his own worst enemy. So Sentry has fought many foes, but none as powerful as his arch enemy, his darker half, the Void, which is his evil persona, which dedicates its life to killing as many people as Sentry rescues. So everything Sentry does, he tries to do the opposite. And for a long time, the two did not realize they were aspects of the same person. And Sentry goes to great lengths to try to defeat the Void, even altering his memories and that of the world's memories as well to try to stop the Void. I
So
mean,
they did not realize that they were the same being but separate beings.
he thought they were separate people, separate things. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, you have to understand too. Like he's physically fought it. So like this is where it gets weird. Like it's actually split from him, but like it's still a part of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like when it goes docile, it sometimes goes inside of him
Hmm.
because it's always
Oh,
been inside of him.
yeah,
So like it's one of those weird things where it's like it's a cluster of trying to understand. But just think of it. It's literally like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or the Hulk, right? But like think of it like where it's literally like you can pull them apart. Like they can be separated, but they
yeah.
can never be separated forever because they're so connected,
They need each other.
pretty much. So anyway,
Yeah.
he's worked with a lot of people. He's worked with the Fantastic Four. He's even worked with Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic. Oh, I already said the Fantastic Four. Sorry, Peter Parker, and Spider Man. And I know you're like that's the same person, but like he's worked with the scientist Peter Parker, and then also worked with Spider Man.
See, as soon as you started giving like the sass of like I knew you were going to say the same thing, I'm like, okay, he worked with the kid and then he worked with the
Yeah,
hero.
absolutely. He's also worked with the X Men, and then obviously he's worked with Bruce Banner specifically to try. And now obviously the Hulk too because of the Avenger thing, but Bruce Banner specifically on trying to remain calm and trying to control himself, very much like he does the Hulk.
Okay.
So we've seen that. He's literally been split in two before, which we've already talked about. It's gotten to the point where when he's finally figured out like, oh, they're the same thing. Sentry has literally tried to sacrifice himself and split himself from Void, what he thought was permanently. And the Void, he literally forced them to go to the negative zone. Which, do you know what the negative zone is?
Yeah, that's where Mister Negative has gains his powers. Yep.
Yeah, it's a literal universe.
Yep.
And so Sentry goes there because Sentry realizes if he's there, Void will be there, so Void won't destroy the Earth. Really, what it comes down to, right? Um, it got to a point where like a lot of people had to like stop Sentry because Sentry was really losing control and like realizing like when he loses control, Void loses control, and it's a whole thing. So like he finally agreed to go in there, and he was separated from Void at that point. Well, Void went into the Cancerverse, which is a whole different universe of the Marvel universe, and became its leader and wanted to take over all the universes.
Typical.
So Sentry, along with everybody else, went in and tried to help him out. So Sentry absorbed a lot of the negative energy in the negative zone to stop the Void. Okay?
Okay.
And it got to the point where the only way for it to have worked was like so Sentry technically absorbed Void, but the Cancerverse was still trying to take over. Nova had to. He was literally the cure of it, and he literally took the entire Cancerverse into himself, with the heroes trying to hold him together with their powers, and then Sentry destroyed Nova and remained there to kind of like watch over the universe that he just destroyed almost. So the only way to stop the Cancerverse was literally Nova absorbing it and then having to be killed by Sentry.
Oh, that's cheerful.
So now I know what you're thinking. Well, Scott, you said this is Venom coded. Where is it? Well, here we are. When Null, the literal god of the symbiotes, arrived on Earth with hundreds of thousands of symbiote dragons behind him, the Avengers called on Sentry to help them out. And when Null, and when he arrived to take Null into space and destroy him, Null ripped Sentry to pieces and embraced the Void. Now, having died in Earth's orbit, Robert, as the Sentry, remained there as a ghost, and approached by Dr. Jane Foster, who was the mighty Thor at the time, turned Valkyrie, escorted him to Valhalla. On their way, they found a null corrupted celestial, which attempted to take Sentry's soul, and even though Valkyrie's efforts were valiant, the Sentry got what it wanted and took the soul of Sentry and basically ate it. He was then released along with hundreds of other souls, thanks to Jane and Moonstar, along with the other Valkyrie, to stop this no infected celestial and release all those souls and allowed Robert Reynolds to go into Valhalla. And that is the history of Sentry.
Okay, interesting.
Now,
Okay.
quickly, I'm just going to go over his powers.
Yep. Go ahead.
Superhuman strength, superhuman speed, superhuman intelligence, energy projection, flight, and psionics, which is like more of like light blasts. Now, as always, Marvel does their power scales based out of 7. Do not ask me why they do it out of 7. I've never understood that. But anyway, his durability is a 6 out of 7. He's very durable. Not impervious, as we know, because No ripped him to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
He's a level 3 in energy projection. The reason for that is because he's really not powerful energy wise. He's more physical. It's really what it comes down to. Not that he can't like shoot energy blasts and stuff like that. That's not his powerful. That's not his powerful attack. His fighting skills are a 2. He's really not that great of a fighter. He's really just kind of like a punch. That's it kind of guy. His intelligence is a 5, and I find this hilarious because I'm like I thought that was kind of high, but I forget like he's got the serum inside of him, and he's also learned a lot through meditation and stuff like that, and through his celestial like his intergalactic travel and stuff like that. So he's learned a lot. So he's actually very intelligent, in the sense of like knowing how things need to be done and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
His speed is also a 5, so he's very fast, right? Which shouldn't be all that shocking. But his strength is a 7 out of 7. He's very strong, and the more solar energy he possesses, the even stronger he becomes.
And Void, it would be basically just mirroring this.
So Void, I'd have to show you a picture of him. He kind of looks like literally what you expect. Like he looks like a tentacle like creature, and he's all like dark.
That's
He's a tentacle like creature, and like he can shapeshift. So like he really doesn't have a form. Like he could technically look like Sentry, but like a dark version of him, or he
Mhm.
could look like a complete other tentacle monster.
Okay.
So like like you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like if you look up the Void in Sentry, like look up Void specifically, you're gonna be
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. Um, I'm trying to think if I can see good images of him. Yeah, so like there's different renditions of him. So like there's some that he looks like Sentry, but like an evil version, and there's some that make him look like almost like Trigon.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like he can shapeshift so much that he really like having a form is kind of weird to say. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Where Sentry, when you look up Sentry, there's only one image that comes to mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I decided to do that as a dig at you because he had very little Venom interaction, but also too that wasn't my only reason for doing it. It's just because he's going to be like the main villain of the Thunderbolts.
if they're able to cast him.
Correct, which was another reason why I brought it up because there's a lot of controversy with who they thought might be playing him. But overall, I mean, I thought it was a good character. We're definitely going to be seeing him in the
Yeah.
near future.
Hmm.
What we don't know what he's going to look like, but I'm very curious in that. But overall, that's going to be it. Next week, we're going to be talking about some new stuff that we're not going to be telling you yet because Mike hasn't fully told me yet. So we're going to wait on that. So that being said, if you've made it this long into the podcast, we really much appreciate you liking and subscribing. And as always, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.